My name is James Wilson, and I'm the president of Saving Children at Risk. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's really been great. Before I continue, though, I want to thank all of the partners who are here today. Of course, Heroes of Life, with the wonderful, wonderful President Shane Coleman. Yes, Shane. I want to thank family, friends of the family, El Nido, Providence Hospital, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but forgive me. But it's really great here because this is Saving Children at Risk's first fair. And we're here supporting the cause of a condition called angioedema. And we have a young lady who is one of those survivors, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about the condition. She's also producing a film with the help of one of the top specialists in the field from UCLA on the condition. And the production, it'll be hitting the films probably within a year, year and a half. It's from Life Without a Fork. And I want to introduce to you my dear friend, Vanessa Williams.
My colleague said, I'm Vanessa Williams with Life Without a Fork. Woo! Sadly, that's how I've been living my life for probably the last 7 years. I have a rare condition called Idiopathic Angioedema. I'm today doing an expo for chronic angioedema. It's a health and Swell-ness Expo. And the Swell-ness is a play on words because of course, most people want to be well, but most of us, we swell. I have some pictures up, and someone walked by and they said, oh, is this for battered women? And I said, no, I woke up like this. Flawless. Or swollen in my case. So I wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming out. My purpose in today's health fair is to bring awareness, finally, since I've been doing this since 2009, and to finally have the opportunity to bring this to the people. I've been doing this online since 2009. So this is our first, again, as James said, event out and about. And so, how many of you guys, just a show of hands, ever heard of angioedema? We got some of my friends raise their hands. How about you guys? Anybody here heard of angioedema? He's like, I took the challenge. By the way, Kevin took the challenge. So basically, angioedema is a swell condition. It can be triggered by a lot of things. It can be triggered by stress. It can be triggered by medications. Usually the medications that trigger the swells are ACE inhibitors, ACE. We also swell from different types of anesthesia. We can swell from foods. We can swell from stress. If I cry, I wake up and my eyes are swollen shut. There are people who, if they sit for long periods of time, their buttocks will swell. If they lean their ear on a pillow, just the ear will swell. Just your chin will swell for no reason at all. In my case, most of my swelling occurs because of or related to food and stress. So I literally trigger, and that's what it's called. They're called triggers, which mimic allergies. So people think that I'm allergic to a lot of foods, and my doctor's like, that's impossible. You know, you can be allergic to peanuts, maybe, some dairy or something, but to be allergic to 98% of the world's alimentary, which is my issue, then that's definitely not possible. So in my case, it's angioedema. In 2009, when I started this venture, I was at a point of dying, and I have a master's I'm extremely competent, extremely qualified, and in 2009, early 2010, I had to grieve the loss of the person that Vanessa was. The dynamic person that I was, the things that I could do, I couldn't do anymore. Thank you, kind sir. I couldn't work. I was almost homeless, I don't know how many times. I almost starved to death, I don't know how many times. Even today, I really am challenged with financially being able to feed myself. I can only eat out of a Whole Foods market, out of Mother's Market, which is in Orange County. They have a chain, and that's it. Those are like the priciest places you could possibly ever try to buy food out of. If you want to eat healthy, you got to have money. You want to eat poorly, then you go to Food for Less or something. That being said, I'm hungry right now. People were inside and around about eating and getting stuff from our in-house nutritionist, Melina, and I haven't eaten anything today. I can't normally eat when I'm out because I might swell. In addition to angioedema mimicking allergies, it also mimics anaphylaxis shock. And so, of course, we have to carry EpiPens with us all the time. The thing about angioedema, first, let me just say this. There are two types. There's hereditary angioedema, and that comprises a little under 20% of all cases. And then there's my case, which is idiopathic angioedema. And the idiopathics comprise 80% of all cases of angioedema. And the reason why today is so important to me is because the hereditary angioedema people, they've got a wonderful society, they've got great philanthropy, just philanthropists behind them, and they've got, this wonderful, huge organization. They actually also opened the first ever Hereditary Angioedema Association clinic at UCSD. And that's where that leading specialist, Dr. Marc Riedl, is heading that facility as of September 2nd this year. So that's the first in the United States. We are so far behind from a lot of countries. The idiopathic people don't get any right attention, and when we do get attention, a lot of times it's really bad attention. People call us liars. You can look at a picture of us and see the swells, and then they still think that we're lying. We made it up. It's all in our heads. I've had doctors undertreat me, mistreat me, or decide not to treat me, to no longer treat me. A lot of me and my friends, we have a lot of doctors who don't want to treat us, so they just say, you know what, we don't want to be bothered with you guys. You're too much of a pain. You're too much trouble. We don't even know what to do with you. The last time I was hospitalized, I couldn't get out. The doctor was giving me, again, far less medication and a lot of the wrong medications. And when I asked, because I have trailers up for the condition, when I asked them to just view a 2-minute trailer, literally one of the nurses did this, and the doctor refused to watch. So that's the kind of attention that we're getting. None or bad, really bad. I have so very many friends to this day who don't have anyone advocating for them besides me. And they sit home and they hide. It is a condition that you almost kind of got to get outed, so to speak. When we swell, we look like freaks. If you're walking down the street and somebody with just a huge jaw for no reason, or their eyes swollen, or again, there's the whole we look like battered women. So my friends, they're sick, they get intubated, they've got no one to talk for them. A lot of them are in places not like where I live. I live in Orange County, so it's not far from the new San Diego clinic, but some of them are in places where there aren't any sufficient doctors, to say the least. At best, they can get a decent allergist or immunologist, but at worst, they get the denial they get the lack of treatment. Those people who are sick right now, some of them have related conditions. The related or tie-in conditions are urticaria. How many of you guys have heard of urticaria? You've heard of urticaria?
Yeah, I hear it.
What, have you heard of it? You don't know what it is? Oh, you guys. Okay, so urticaria is really, you guys have actually all heard of it. It's just a fancy name for hives, right? So urticaria and hives, a lot of people who have hives also have urticaria. We also have what's called, a lot of people have mast cell activation disorders, and we also have idiopathic anaphylaxis, which means that we can go at any time into anaphylactic shock and not know why, it just happens. The same thing with the idiopathic angioedema. For the people who are born with it, who are quote-unquote hereditary angioedema, they are born missing what's called a protein C1 inhibitor. And to treat them, they're given icatibant and or C1 inhibitor, and their drugs are usually quite pricey. Usually, I think for hereditary angioedema patients, the drugs run over $500,000 a year. I once got upset because I wasn't hereditary angioedema and I wasn't getting any attention, and the specialist he's like, be careful what you ask for, because I just take antihistamines to control mine. There's also one of my co-stars, Heather Campbell, and the gentleman here are going to read some of the stuff from some of my fellow Swellers, but Heather is one of the rarest forms of angioedema. So there is hereditary angioedema, histamine-related or histamine-mediated, which is my kind, and Heather has what's called bradykinin-mediated angioedema. That group comprises about 2% of all cases. And all of these diseases are life-threatening. All of us get treated as if we don't really deserve the kind of attention that I've been asking for, that we've been asking for, because the cancer people deserve it. And if I actually had, one of my boyfriends say that to me, like, if you were suffering with cancer, I'd feel sorry for you. Cancer patients usually are given a certain amount of time for diagnosis and prognosis and time to live. And in my case, we don't know. We can just drop dead at any moment from anything. It could be environmental elements, perfumes. It could be spices, sodium, cinnamons, things in the air. So it's a challenge, to say the least, and I'm hoping that with this first event, and next year's event is going to be, awesome as well, but I'm hoping with this first event that we're really going to be able to get out here and make a difference and bring some right attention around angioedema. We're going to read a few passages from some of my, what we call fellow Swellers. And these gentlemen here, they've been so nice, they've been so kind to help me out. So Kevin's going to read first.
I am on permanent anabolic steroids. As I said, I have a different form of this condition. I have to take these every day. Alright. I am on permanent anabolic steroids. As I said, I have a different form of this condition. I have to take these every day, as it is the only thing that's reduced the amount of swells, and the side effects are crap, but they keep me alive. I inject myself at home with the medication called icatibant. It's a new drug. It's licensed for HAEA. I do not have HAEA, but bracketed, medicated, like Idiopathic, and Melina borrows the treatment from HAEA. It is good stuff, works in about 45 minutes, so you have time. Right. I am lucky I don't get on school very often, but when I do, it's always rather amazing. Last time I was till that was July last year and ended up in the hospital for 5 days. No help.
It was one of those days. Tomatoes were the last thing I needed. Man in front of me smelled like stale cigarette smoke. Even though the mask, it was nauseating, then the produced guy opened the box of onions. It was instantaneous. The flesh hit full force with extreme nausea and tummy cramps. Then the edges of my field of vision went blank. Coughing set in and people stared and telling me my color was that of boiled lobster. Darkness began to take over, and that itchy something is hung in my throat because I am having trouble swallowing saliva feeling. Coughing and annoying bladder and bowels will empty soon. One EpiPen backed it off enough to check out and get home before the bottom fell out, and the rain poured out. Grateful I could get home, and I am not spending tonight at Gaston Memorial. Thank you.
That was from Jose. Thank you guys so much, Kevin and Jose. And Kevin said to make sure that he's actually, do you want to challenge everybody for me, Kevin? Take the answer. It's like, all right, he's talked out. So Kevin's challenging you guys to take the Life Without a Fork Angioedema Challenge. And you can find that on our Facebook page, and or if you Google Life Without a Fork and the Angioedema Challenge, there is only one. But the point of the challenge is to mimic when we have swells, we swell a lot of times. The primary swells are in the eyes, the lips, the nose, so usually in the facial regions. We also get abdominal swelling, and we can look top heavy, 6-7 months pregnant. When we eat and we go into anaphylactic shock, it's kind of like if you got a bee sting, something like that. But if you have, and so it's difficulty breathing, but if you get a really bad stomach swell, abdominal swell, it can also cause difficulty with the breathing. So, and then the last one that I was going to read was my nose. So, Kevin was nice enough to read from Heather Campbell, and Jose was nice enough to read from Meredith. And I'm going to read from myself, which was back to the whole believability thing. Is so crazy. I was attempting to explain the correlation between stress and my condition to my oldest sister. It's just family. And she said, that's not true. I don't believe that stress can make you swell. 10 minutes later, just 10 minutes later, she's crying, she's in tears about how her diabetes may make her lose a leg, and that if she stresses at work and at home, it's going to make her get sicker, and the stress is going to cause her to lose her leg. Wow. Really? So stress can cause her to get sick, but not if you have angioedema. So, I really firmly believe that we need some more respect around here, and I'm hoping that you guys will really be kind enough to follow our efforts on social networking and help spread the word and help to bring awareness to this condition and help me, because I've been really pushing this a long time and carrying a lot of it solo, and the more of you guys who can come out and support our efforts, the better, and help me to officially get angioedema on the map. I really appreciate it, and I just want to tell special thanks to my wonderful group of friends that I just met back here. Thank you so much to Heroes of Life, Shane and Paula, for being so nice to lend us their home. Many thanks, of course, to Saving Children at Risk for making this happen. I really appreciate you, James Wilson. Thank you so very, very much, Kevin, for helping us out. And I want to say a special thanks to Tom Orsini of Orsini Healthcare for all of the contributions and giveaways. For today, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ira Hart. Thank you so much, Ira, for your contributions, your donations. We also have a website, Saving Children at Risk, online if you want to donate to the cause. It is a not-for-profit, so there's a tax write-off. And thank you, Ira, for the giveaways and the donations. All-State rocks. Thank you so much. support us. I really appreciate it. Please, if you can help save my life, it would be great and awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
What are you doing to manage stress?
To manage the stress, I've been watching The Secret. Have you watched that? Nice. So every time I get stressed out, and I try to find something for my 16-year-old to do because that's a part of the stress. Yes.
One more question. Are you trying any natural remedies?
Actually, I have. So like I said, I do have my in-house nutritionist, and today she brought a whole lot of good stuff over there. But one of the things that I asked for before she forgot, because she mentioned it in one of my support groups, was for some nettle. So nettle tea is a natural anti-inflammatory. I also drink lots of kombucha. It's a raw food drink, and it's probiotic, so I do a lot of probiotics. Melina is also very kind to help me with a lot of different types of things, so she's given me black rice. I get lots and lots of exotic vitamins and stuff that's customized specifically for me from Melina, the nutritionist. And here's why. I met Melina when I was dying in 2009, and she worked at Mother's Market. And I was probably about the same weight, underweight, dealing with issues of malnutrition. And Melina was brave enough to suggest to me what I could eat. She suggested quinoa. When I went to a formal, another nutritionist, she said, no, I can't. Doctors won't suggest food, they're afraid because of malpractice first. Like, there's my malnutrition, it's all about me in the end. But, because of my malpractice first, they don't want to recommend anything. So Melina would come from behind the counter on my really, really down days and give me hugs and really, really help to pull me up. And, angioedema is also a very, very isolating condition. We get isolated because of people not believing us, because we're also afraid to stress out. So that's one of the things that we do for the stress, is to isolate. We have a lot of people who spend a lot of time alone. And when I met Melina, I think Melina was one of my friends. My pharmacist was one of my friends, the lady at the grocery store. But I didn't have any other friends. I didn't have people, a support system, people to help me out, people to tell me. When I first found out about angioedema, it's another reason why I started this venture, is because, it's hard for people who are new to the condition as a whole. They don't know how to deal with it, how to manage it, what's going on. So, we kind of just are freaking out, like, okay, I'm dying. And the doctors literally don't know. And another reason for today's event is because two things. We need to get our numbers up for Big Pharma to take us seriously. In order for the pharmaceutical companies to start making medications for us, in order for the researchers to start doing some type of research on our behalf, we've literally got to have it so that we get our numbers up. And getting our numbers up means, if you have angioedema and you've been diagnosed, find us on Life Without a Fork, like our page. So join the support groups and let the numbers grow. But getting our numbers up also means that there are so many people who have angioedema and don't know it. If you've ever seen the film Pitch with Will Smith, and his whole face gets distorted after he eats shellfish, that's what angioedema looks like. When you've got your whole face can just get big, or just your nose or ear. There's hundreds of thousands, or at least tens of thousands of people who are undiagnosed right now. And they are dying. They're dying. And they don't know what's killing them. So that's the biggest challenge for me, is to see what I can do. Someone in one of my support groups asked the question, do you ever feel like, who here feels like their time is running out? And I said, me. my push and the hard work, I've actually never ever gotten paid for anything that I've done, and I've produced a 115-minute featured documentary around the condition with, as James said, the leading specialist, the leading angioedema specialist, Dr. Marc Riedl in the country. So I do this without pay, and I do this tirelessly because not only do I want to save my life, I don't know what saving my life really looks like. I know that I can try to help save other people's lives. I came and I got on board with Saving Children at Risk so that we can try to see what we can do for all the children. There are lots and lots of babies with angioedema that are swollen, who can't eat, can't get proper nutrition, and they can't get the right treatments. And if you had to pay $500,000 for medication, you might be a little challenged too with getting your medication. So it's a challenge, and so we really want to do everything we can. What was your name, sir? Paulino. Thank you, Paulino. And I want to thank you again because I almost forgot to thank you guys again for so much for coming out and for giving thanks to my biggest supporter. This chick, she's so smart. She's 16. She is a producer on Life Without a Fork. She's earned every bit of it. She helps me edit. She helps me with storyline. She is now running camera for me. She consults to me. She's the one who helped with the speech today. I mean, anything and everything, from materials to anything I can think of. My 16-year-old, who I call my heart, is there for me. And you don't get better support than that at home. So thank you so much, Katya. If you want to stand up, please. Stand up, please. And does anybody else have any more questions? Actually, I meant to do a Q&A. Anybody else have any more questions about angioedema? Does anybody think they know anyone who has angioedema or may have angioedema?
Well, you give me a reason for another question with all that explanation.
Nice. Awesome.
Okay. The question is, when you treat yourself, you pull back, everybody, you go into yourself. What goes through your mind? What is happening?
Thank you for asking that, Paulino. Listen, the thing is this. I didn't know until maybe 2 years ago from a fellow sufferer. I found out that there's an emotional tie-in with angioedema. And it's something that we cannot control. So when we swell, we also have other issues that happen. And one of them is an emotional thing. So sometimes we get to the crying stages. When I met Melina, I was at one of those stages. I've actually made 2 films. The second one is called Jumping Out of Buildings. And that is starring Amen Joseph of The Expendables. The first film, by the way, I've got a lot of celebrities in there, like Dolph Lundgren and stuff like that. But back to Jumping Out of Buildings. Jumping out of buildings is kind of like what you think it is. It's the fact that most of us are 730 at one point or another. Crazy. We go crazy when we isolate and we're going through the angioedema. It is what I like to tell people, Alice in Wonderland, going down in the rabbit hole. Sometimes I ask people, I do whatever I can to try to manage my situation. I say, can you please keep me calm, or can you please try not to stress me out? Because once I go down the rabbit hole, or any of us go down the rabbit hole, it's really challenging to come back out of that rabbit hole. And it can take me days or even weeks of crying every single day. And that chronic crying is an actual symptom of the angioedema. So a lot of times what I'm thinking is I need to meditate. I need to try to not get sad, but it doesn't take much. Someone could just say, today I'm wearing black Uggs, but someone could say, your shoes are brown. I'm like, no, they're not. And like I'm bawling and I'm crying for no reason at all because of the fact that there's an emotional tie-in that is really, really challenging for us to deal with. Anybody else? Thank you guys again. say this back for, may your swells forever be minimal at worst. Deuces, Vanessa Williams, life without a